It was a tough day at the office for Syracuse. It falls to Notre Dame 14-12 on a day that seemed much warmer in South Bend than it was here in central New York. Very windy, right? This game had everything. A slow start for the Orange offensively, a late attempted comeback, and a killer save that will make your jaw drop. You'll have to stick around to see which team that was. That's what we call a tease here in the TV business. Hey, Sam Corcoran and Nick Waley will join us, and we also have Adam Gotkin joining us from South Bend as well, all now on Orange Press Pass. Welcome into Orange Press Pass. I'm Chilekasi, Adele, alongside Sam Corcoran and Nick Waley. Guys, again, Syracuse falling 14-12 to the top team in the nation, Notre Dame. 9-3 this season now. Sam, your first thoughts?
This was a much-needed wake-up call for an offense that has been great all season long, but recently has been struggling, Nick. We saw it against Duke and Hobart. This team isn't winning faceoffs. They're not necessarily scoring the ball that much, and there's been a lack of possession today that all came to fruition, and that's a huge reason why Syracuse lost, especially in the first half. All of that played real well throughout the first half, and it subsequently also set the defense back. 12 shots on goal for SU in the first three quarters. That can't happen. A much-needed wake-up call, something that they can take forward with them through these last three games.
I mean, for me, it was a huge plus that the defense was that good. In fact, I think they let the offense down massively, especially in the first half. Will Mark was again excellent in goal. His second game all season that he had 15-plus saves. I think this defense, there was the biggest question mark, I think, going into the season. Was the defense going to be able to keep up with the offense? I think they've lived up to the billing, that's for sure.
The defense has been fantastic throughout this season, and they've really stepped it up in these last few games. 6 goals against Delaware, 4 against Duke. Hobart in the cold conditions, such brutal weather to play in, 7 goals. And today, 14 goals. I don't think that says everything about this defense. We're going to talk about it a lot more throughout the show, but this defense has been great, and it's something that Syracuse can also build off of.
And let's mention that offense too, right? I think it's really interesting talking about how slow it was today, but also something I noticed over the course of the game. It looked like Notre Dame was moving around the horn more, and Syracuse was trying to find the middle and just kept on getting picked off all the time. Absolutely,
Chile. I mean, this team, you said it, get picked off all the time. It definitely, this team didn't really seem to be necessarily have the best chemistry throughout the game. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's a big wake-up call for both the offense and the defense.
Yeah. I do think that the defense was something that you just didn't expect to be that good in this Syracuse team. Gary Gate, you know how good of an offensive player he was. You know how good the offense is with Joey Spallina. We think Michael Lee and Finn Thompson had fantastic days today. The defense has been the star of the show. Like you mentioned, against Duke, against Delaware, you can see the 10 goals combined. And going against this Notre Dame team, who was statistically the best offense in the country, I think they did a pretty good job today.
So, why don't we take a look at how this puppy went down. Syracuse versus Notre Dame. Again, we talk about the final score, 14-12. Let's roll the tape here. Here in the highlights, early on, it's Riley Gray for Notre Dame, moving towards the net, right in front of the crease, finding his way past Will Mark. 2-1 Notre Dame. Later, Orange on the other hand now. It's Michael Leo. The Finn Thompson goes down low to tie the game at 3. Later on, finishing the first quarter, it's Pat Cavanaugh. Sneaky, rolls behind and down, 5-3.
Pat Cavanaugh and Chris Cavanaugh, 2 catalysts for a Notre Dame offense, really leading the charge early on and definitely put ND in the lead and up big.
Yeah, you take a look at this here. Will Lynch also off the faceoff. Beautiful. Mason Cone, nothing on him. Gary Gate talking about how Mason Cone wasn't at 100% after the game. And guess what? Notre Dame has not lost a game. 5-0 this season when they're up at the half. We'll see if that continues. It, of course, did continue. Here in the third quarter, here's Sam English with one. Finn Thompson with the assist. His 6th goal in his last 5 games. Now, here it's Jake Taylor, the one-hand tomahawk towards the net. Will Angrick on the assist. His 14th goal against SU all time. Owen Hiltz here for Syracuse. Off the Jake Stevens assist, finds the back of the net. It's 12-7 Notre Dame to the 4th quarter now. And here's Joey Spallina. Right behind, finds the back of the net. Christian Muley on the assist there, 13-9.
I mean, Joey was having quite a slow game up to this point. He finally got on the board for SU, and he needed to show up.
Yeah, definitely. Luke Roa there with a goal as well. Now, this is the big play of the game. Jake Stevens at the net, and it's Liam Entenmann with a beautiful save. Take a look at the slow-mo here, and Entenmann absolutely lays out. You see Stevens try and back the ball towards the net, and what an acrobatic play.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the save of the year, arguably, in college lacrosse, and saved the game for Notre Dame.
Definitely a SportsCenter top 10 candidate. Jake Stevens with the goal to make it 14-11 Notre Dame. But the Orange went on a 5-1 run to end this game, but it was not enough. They fall 14-12. And you take a look, Finn Thompson leading all goal scorers to there, 3 goals, 1 assist.
Finn Thompson, I mean, stepped up big time. He's been showing out for this midfield unit a lot recently, and the midfield has really carried this offense. I'd love to see a lot more from the attackers, but the midfield has been doing a fantastic job, Nick.
I mean, the offense itself was relatively slow today. Not a lot from Owen Hills, but the midfield, like you said, Michael Leo, Finn Thompson really pushing on the attack. I think Finn Thompson, who's gone a little bit under the radar this year, has performed really well.
So we've talked about the game. Let's talk about the after and bring in our reporter, Adam Gotkin, who joins us from South Bend, Indiana, live. Adam, hey, how you doing, first off? And two, give us your first thoughts on what you saw. We talked about what we saw. What did you see?
Well, Chile, I'm doing great. Actually, very cold. I heard you say it seems really nice here. It was during the game, but now very windy. I feel like I'm about to blow away. But to the actual game itself, this was an awesome college lacrosse game. The atmosphere was incredible. The stands almost completely packed. The berm was completely packed. They said 5,000. I think it was a little bit more. But this game had everything that you could ask for. Some great saves, great offense. You know, this is a college lacrosse game that I think people will remember for a long time. You guys said how that Entenmann save was one of the best of the year, if not the best of the year. I think stuff like that is stuff that people remember, and this is really all that you can ask for in an ACC game.
Adam, Sam Corcoran here. This defense got put to work with a lot of offensive struggles early on. How did Coach Gate evaluate the defense's performance with that big of a today?
You know, Gary Gate was pretty happy with how this defense did today. He thought that they did well, and to give up just 14 goals to this Notre Dame offense is impressive when you think about the Kavanaughs and just all the other options that they have. But I thought a little bit differently. To me, it felt like this was a defensive performance that we would have seen last year, where Will Mark really had to bail this team out in a lot of cases. Will Mark had to make a lot of saves. He had 15 today. That was more than Liam Entenmann did. He was put in some bad spots and really helped this team out. Just 14 goals for Notre Dame, but it really could have been a lot more if Will Mark wasn't as good as he was.
Hey Adam, it's Nick here. Going into that fourth quarter, it was 13-7 Notre Dame. It looked like Hughes were done. It was going to be a loss guaranteed. What changed between the third and fourth quarter that led Syracuse on that comeback?
I think that a lot of it was just the fact that Syracuse knew that it needed to start scoring, and so it was playing a lot more aggressive. Early in the game, the Orange were really just trying to do a little bit too much in terms of moving the ball around. There was a lot of going for the extra pass when it just wasn't necessary. There was one time as well when Joey Spallina had a short stick on him, didn't dodge. There just wasn't any aggression. A lot of like the Duke game, how the Duke offense was last week, where there was just not that much aggression. It felt like that early on for the Syracuse offense. But then in the fourth quarter, that all turned around. This team knew that it had to start scoring goals, and because of that, they just started letting shots rip. Owen Hiltz had a couple. Luke Roa just let a couple long-range shots go, and a couple of them resulted in goals. That's when this offense really started to click, was when they actually started to play with aggression.
Adam, if I can hold you for one more here. We're talking about 3 games left this season to play for SU. We got a non-conference against Cornell, some very important games against UNC and Virginia. How important is this stretch for this team if it wants in come playoff time?
I think it's important, but I also think that it's a weird situation because the NCAA tournament in lacrosse is very small. There's only about 8 at-large bids. Because of that, Syracuse is not a lock-in, even though they're the number 3 team in the country right now. I think that they probably have to win 1 out of 3 to be locked in, most likely. I think just 1 would get it done, but of course, you want to win 2 or you want to win 3 because you need momentum going into the end of the season. I think the worry for Syracuse fans right now might be that this team peaked a couple weeks ago when it beat Johns Hopkins, beat Delaware, and beat Duke in 3 straight ranked wins. Because of that, I think that this team needs to get a couple ranked victories to end the season, needs to beat a team like Virginia or a team like Cornell or North Carolina again before postseason play starts, because lacrosse is such a mental game. You have to believe in yourself to actually win games. You have to believe that you can score. It's a part of that aggression, like I was just saying earlier. You have to know that your shot is going to go into the back of the net. So because of that, I think that, while this team might not have to win 2 out of 3 to make the tournament, they might have to just mentally so they're prepared so they can actually go on and win some games come May.
I am circling that UVA game, and I think I'm inclined to believe that a win against UVA would almost certainly make them a lock. Adam Gotkin from South Bend, Indiana, thank you so much. Hey, coming up next on Orange Press Pass, we're talking about what went wrong in the first half today and how the defense managed to hold up despite the struggles on the other end when we come back. Hey, we're back on Orange Press Pass. Chilekasi, Adele, Sam Corcoran, Nick Waley recapping the loss. Syracuse falling to Notre Dame 14-12. And hey, let's talk about the first half, right? Syracuse, we're talking about the game that was 10-5 at halftime. This offense scored 2 goals in the second quarter, only 8 shots on goal in the first half compared to 17 for Notre Dame. Sam, it was a struggle.
It was a struggle indeed, and I need to see this offense wake up more if Syracuse wants to be in these competitive games going forward. Face-offs, turnovers, ground balls, you name it. The Orange struggled all season long. Or not all season long, but in the last 4 games, they've really struggled with those. And everything that could go wrong went wrong. We've seen slow starts for this offense recently, Nick. Syracuse needs to step it up. They're good at closing games, and we'll talk about that in a sec, but starting the games is a crucial part of winning.
And I mean, I know the face-offs were a big issue today. Mason Cohn, like Gary Gate mentioned in his presser, said he wasn't at 100%, feeling under the weather, but you still have John Mullins on the roster. I mean, he is a top quality face-off guy. He's a guy who I think should be playing even more. The midfield battle was a big issue. Couldn't get the ground ball, especially in the first half. Didn't win the face-offs, and we just don't have possession. Winning face-offs in lacrosse is just that much more important. You have to win face-offs to get chances at goal, and Syracuse really lacked at that.
And it's like the little things, right? My high school football coach always told me it's not about the touchdowns, it's not about the throws, it's not about the big shots or the big goals, it's the little things. It's the ground balls, it's the turnovers. And once those start to mount up, you see what happens. And even if you try and mount that comeback, it doesn't happen. But again, moving towards the second half, let's talk about the second half and that offense. SU ending the game on a 5-1 run. What did you guys see?
I mean, I saw the offense that was missing for most of the game, I think Syracuse has a great offensive juggernaut, but when your 2 leading scorers are 2 midfielders in Finn Thompson and Michael Leo, that's an issue. I mean, Joey Spallina, we talk about him all the time, and of course he's going to be the one in the headlines, points leader obviously in the nation. He had 1 goal today and has really struggled in these big-time games. But in the second half, all of a sudden Syracuse just started clicking, and in that fourth quarter, quarter, we saw the Syracuse offense that we were missing, the Syracuse offense that we saw against Delaware, against Duke. That was the quality offense that we needed.
Absolutely, Nick. And you saw in the lower third up there, 7-4, the Orange outscored the Irish in the second half. It's just too little too late, Nick. They're great at closing games, and we've seen it all season long, how they can come back and find ways, especially against Johns Hopkins. Late minute goals. That's exactly what you need. Just a little, too late for the Orange today, and not enough to come back, Chile.
Yeah, now let's switch to the other side of the ball and talk about the defense now. I think this is the one that's created kind of the most stir, and I don't know if everybody really agrees with it. Gary Gait, again, we've talked about it, talking about he thought the defense played great except for in the first quarter. Sam, what say you?
I thought this defense was phenomenal today, Chile. Just going through these stats, you gotta look beyond the 14 goals. 29 Notre Dame shots on goal, 20 turnovers by this SU offense, and 9 faceoff wins. That puts the defense in a terrible situation early on and a lot of work on their shoulders to carry. So a terrible deck of cards, but the defense kept SU in this game, and they've also kept SU in games recently. 6 goals against Delaware, 4 versus Duke, 7 against Hobart. Overall, Nick, it's been a great defensive stretch recently.
And I think you got to put into context who the opponent was. I mean, it was Notre Dame, the best offense in the country statistically. I think Syracuse's defense, like you mentioned, Sam, they kept Syracuse in this game. I was thoroughly impressed with what they were able to do. Obviously, I think Will Muck has been fantastic and continues to be fantastic in the Syracuse net. They limited the top scoring offense in the country to 14 goals. I think that's the second highest that Notre Dame, second lowest that Notre Dame has scored this season actually. And those face-off wins, yes, like we mentioned, Mason Cohen having an off day, but I was really impressed with the defense.
The offense has been helping out the defense a lot throughout the season, which has been great, and that's why Syracuse is 9-3 at this point. But against big teams like Notre Dame, they need to step up a little bit more.
Indeed, Sam, and I guess this is a lot of people's favorite part of our show every time we come on, right? Player of the game. If you watch the game, it's pretty easy to find out why. Liam Entenmann, the goalie for Notre Dame, 8 saves against Syracuse this afternoon on 12 goals allowed on 20 shots faced, 24 for 27 clears. But again, this is the play that everybody's talking about. This beautiful save, and we have to talk about the circumstances of this play, right? Syracuse is mounting a comeback. It's 13-10. Steven's here. It should have been 13-11 on the player up, but you see that beautiful acrobatic save. Again, definitely a SportsCenter top 10 nominee. Liam Entenmann, our Orange Press Pass player of the game. Now, moving on and coming up on Orange Press Pass, we're going to play a little bit of a game. Talk about what we can do to make this Orange offense, defense go as it faces its final 3 games of the season. You're watching OPP. We'll be right back. We are back on Orange Press Pass. Chilekasi, Adele alongside Sam Corcoran and Nick Waley. Guys, we're going to play a little bit of a game. It's called Orange Endgame. So, in this game, I'm going to ask you about 3 players, aspects of this team. You see Gary Gait with the little Avengers hand.
He's ready to snap his fingers.
Oh my goodness, that is daunting to say the least.
Listen, I think the premise is simple, right? What do the Orange need to do, add to their game to improve? Now, I've been given by our producers these 6 end game stones? I know nothing about that. So it's kind of a free-for-all. I'm not a very culturally high
I'll make
person.
you a Marvel fan through this, Chile.
Somehow, some way, right? Let's get started. Let's talk about Joey Spallina, the star attackman. Sam, what does he need to add?
Chile, Joey Spallina needs the it factor, Stone. He was the nation's top prospect when he got brought to Syracuse, Nick, but he hasn't been playing like it as of recently. Only 2 goals in the last 4 games. That's not, and again, against top 5 teams, only 4 goals against top 5 teams. He's a team first player, I get that, but I want him to be a bit of a more of a leader on this team. And I want to see him take the ball and score the goal. When the ball's in the 60s, he's one of the most dangerous players in the country. Having that confidence is huge for Syracuse, Nick.
I do totally agree, Sam. I think he does need to be the leader. He needs to be that offensive firepower. But I do think, especially, I think this is going off of recency bias as well, especially what we witnessed in this Notre Dame game. He needed to facilitate better. I mean, he is the points leader in the nation. He does an incredible job, not just scoring, but facilitating his teammates. But we didn't really see that a lot in this Notre Dame game. Yes, he was getting double teamed a lot, going up against an incredibly good defense in the Fighting Irish, but I was really concerned that he really wasn't making that big step. And we've seen that a lot in these top 4 ranked games. Only 13 points scored in those top 4 ranked games in Duke, Johns Hopkins, and the Maryland game, and now including the Notre Dame game as well. That is a big issue going forward for me.
And a lot of it, I think, too, is the idea of the whole star status and statue, right? You have somebody who's really good at not only scoring, but facilitating, but you also need that vocal leadership, not only on the field, but also off the field in the locker room as well, and then on the field showing it in many different ways, and you kind of didn't see that today against Notre Dame. Let's move on a little bit. Nick, I'm going to go to you. Finn Thompson, what do you think he needs?
Keep up the good work, man. I mean, I think Finn Thompson has been fantastic. I mean, when you're the leading scorer against Notre Dame and you're just a midfielder, I say just a midfielder. I think that's a little bit mean, but I think he's been fantastic. Had a hat trick today. I think he's done fantastic and sort of gone under the radar this year. Is only second behind Michael Leo in goals and had a slow start to the year, but he has scored in 6 straight games. I think that has been a fantastic workload that he's put in, and honestly, just keep up the good work, like I said.
Nick, I want to see Finn Thompson step up his leadership on the field. Now, to make it clear, I'm not questioning his leadership as a person. There's a reason why Syracuse trusts him with the ball to get these goals. But the offense has been struggling recently, and he hasn't. He can be a catalyst for this offense moving forward when guys like Spallina, when guys like Hiltz aren't performing well. How about using Finn Thompson a little bit more? Put a little trust in him, and Finn Thompson taking that leadership role and being a catalyst for this offense could be huge in the long runs. It almost came up huge today, but again, too little, too late. The Orange fall just short, but Finn Thompson, lots of positivity, Chile.
And you need that leadership, right? It's not to assume or not to say that nobody's necessarily delivering that, but we were having this conversation as Gary Gate was speaking, and we were beaming it live in our control room. The almost nonchalant, I wouldn't say nonchalant, but almost even-keeled nature he has under any circumstances, whether it's after a win, whether it's after a loss. You rarely see him animated, right? On any great team, amazing team, you need that one guy who's going to be animated, and I think Thompson has the capability to do that and move forward for this team, especially when we just talked about the aspects with Spallina. But let's move on. This one is less player-driven, more topic-driven. Face-offs. Today is really interesting, right? Mason Cone wasn't at 100% today, under the weather all week. With this team 9-20 this afternoon against Notre Dame at the face-off dot. Cone was 6 for 21. What does he need, Sam?
He needs to start earlier. Chile, how do you start your day every morning? With an alarm clock. That's exactly what Syracuse needs. How about you add a stone that makes some annoying noise to wake this face-off unit up early? It's been a struggle, especially in recent games. Against Duke, didn't get a face-off in the first half. Against Hobart, they won the face-off battle 8-5. Could have been a little bit better, though. And today against Notre Dame, they lost 12-14 in face-off. It slows the offense down. It slows the game plan down. You need possession to win games, and it just puts more pressure on the defense. Mason Cone and John Mullen have to be ready right from the first whistle, and that could have changed the outcome of the game today, Nick.
I think for me as well, it's that you need the teamwork to make the dream work. You know, this face-off unit is so underrated. Mason Cone has been phenomenal, and also you have John Mullins, who could have even been the first option going into this year. I think this face-off unit is incredibly strong, but like you mentioned, Sam, if you look at any other sport, face-offs are arguably more important comparatively when starting possession, because if you win more, you're going to have more chances at goal. And when Syracuse, we saw that last season actually, Syracuse ranking, I think it was 64th in the nation for face-off win percentage, and we saw how last season ended up. Things have dramatically changed this year with Mason Cone and John Mullins, and we can't look past that. This has been a night and day difference really on the face-off unit for Syracuse. So I think as long as you sort of interchange them more, have John Mullins come in that little bit more. Mason Cone, I think he's had too much of the load. Have both them playing together, make the teamwork work, and I think there'll be more success.
And I'm of the belief that with face-offs and being able to retain possession, that is the most important thing in almost any sport. And you have to be on your game all day, every day when it comes to winning the face-off. Guys, we'll see in the next block. We'll talk about here. We're going around the the NCAA, not the NCC or NCC News. Don't listen to anything I just said there. We're recapping your holy Saturday in the whole lacrosse world when we come back on Orange Press Pass.
One in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, pre-diabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back to Orange Press Pass. Chilekasi, Adele, alongside Sam Corcoran, Nick Waley on CitrusTV, your campus sports leader. Hey, guys, let's go around the NCAA, shall we? Let's talk about some of the biggest games that happened here today. Look at this. Army beating North Carolina, 6th-ranked Army beating North Carolina 13-12. 4 goals for Army's midfielder Evan Plunkett, including the game-winning goal.
Army, a team to beat. They already beat Syracuse this year. Had a bad loss to Boston College. Being an ACC team is no joke. Even though it's North Carolina, the one non-ranked team, the ACC, it's pretty big. And then how about you look at Virginia, a 13-10 win at Harvard. Had a goalie goal to take the lead. That was fun to watch, Nick.
I mean, one of our producers, Chris Sawyer, is a huge Army fan, and he was going ballistic over that game. And I mean, but this also shows how good the ACC really is, and I think that's why that game is absolutely no joke when Syracuse goes up against UNC. I think this UVA game is also very telling. UVA, Notre Dame, those are the 2 teams that I think are definitely going towards the top. And then Syracuse play Cornell next. Got just a close overtime loss to UPenn. That's another one to look out for as well.
Yeah, and with that, let's talk about it's crunch time for the Cuse, right? A few games for Syracuse, 3 of them left. Tuesday at Cornell, we got a 7 p.m. face-off. We'll be on at 11 o'clock for Orange Press Pass. And again, those 2 ACC matchups coming right after. Next Saturday at 1 o'clock against UNC. And then April 20th against UVA. Paul Gate getting his jersey retired for Syracuse. But again, this is a gauntlet schedule. I think that Virginia game, like I said to Adam earlier, is one you got to circle on the calendar.
I do think so. I mean, and like Adam mentioned as well earlier in the show, that game could be the difference to Syracuse making the NCAA tournament. I mean, Adam Gotkin, our beat report, men's lacrosse beat reporter, he didn't feel that Syracuse is guaranteed to make it into the tournament. I was a little bit baffled by it. I think Syracuse have enough of a resume at this point to have at least an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament. But if it does come down to it, Syracuse all of a sudden lose 2 straight, that UVA game is going to be very important.
And especially looking at that UNC game, if UVA is a better team than if UVA is a better team than UNC, you have to beat UNC on April 13th.
So, crunch time for the Cuse, right? I want to know, what do you guys think? What are your final thoughts as They finish this game, a loss to Notre Dame, but also head next into these 3 very important games.
Well,
Sam.
Chile, now is not the time to panic. And Adam Gotkin talked about this earlier. These are 3, and we just talked about it now. These are 3 crucial games coming up for SU. And Gates said after the Duke game that his team hasn't proved anything. And he's completely correct. No playoff appearances to show for anything that he's done. It's time to focus on the things that you need to fix on offense in particular and keep what you have going that's doing well and just run with it. 3 crucial games, have to play well.
Syracuse is going to put everything together. They have a great offense. We already know how good their defense is, especially last 3 full games. They have been phenomenal. I think if Syracuse can have a full 60 minutes of their best offense and their best defense, they can certainly win the next 3.
Chile, one more final word. It is your final show in the sports department for Citrus TV. We just want to thank you for everything you've done. Your passion for the station is unmatched. I'm so excited to see what's next for you. Congratulations, and thanks for
100%.
everything that you've done for the sports department.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everybody here in the studio and in the control room. This is an amazing place to work. Those who work here really know that, but this is an amazing place to be that does some amazing work. But that's it for Orange Press Pass. Next time we're here, 11 o'clock on Tuesday night after Syracuse versus Cornell. From all of us here, good night.